Hello everyone. Hello my bio students. Today we will talk about regulation of life processes, chemical control. So our goal is to know different chemical signaling secreted with different glands of all organisms in plants and animals. First, we will have to study these terms. Phytohormones. So phyto means plants in hormones. So hormones of plants, which are chemicals that regulate metabolic processes in plants or hormones of plants. Hormones are chemical messengers that regulate processes at a slower rate. Then homeostasis or balance is the tendency of a system to resist change and maintain a stable environment. To recall regulation of life processes, last time we discussed about nervous control with nervous system, and now we will discuss chemical control much more with the endocrine system. So both male and female. So hindi lang po sa humans, even as well in plants. So humans and animals and plants. So first, let's describe this our topic. So all organisms have a chemical control system that dictates the direction of different processes performed by different organ system. Now our focus is much more about the endocrine system, wherein endocrine system has chemical signaling secreted by different glands in animals. But in plants, meron din po silang sariling chemical signaling even though they don't have endocrine system. Like what I said, even plants are controlled by chemical systems from their germination to the growth and development of their flowers and fruits. So, as well as the complex animals, on the other hand, have an endocrine system that controls body processes, or they send the chemical signaling secreted by different glands from the endocrine system. Now, let's have regulation of processes in plants. So, as you observe in this picture, we can see what we call the chemical control. So, example po natin dyan is yung tomato. With our observation, so from flower, a little fruit, until it gets bigger, and then mahinog na siya. So, plants don't have endocrine system, but still they can regulate plant hormones by what we call the phytohormones. So again, plants do not possess an endocrine system but are able to regulate different processes such as ripening of fruits through plant hormones. So alam naman natin, yung mga prutas ay mayroong paghinog na nagaganap, which mas okay sila kapag hinog na kainin, yung kadalasan sa prutas. Again, phytohormones. Phyto means plant, meaning to say it is about the hormones in plants, wherein is a chemical control and are chemicals that regulate metabolic processes in plants. And there are 5 major groups of plant hormones that helps the regulation of plant growth or to ripen the plant or the fruit, and then it is natural for the plants to happen naman. So they have hormones then na tinuturok So, para din po mag-ripen you or mas more mag-growth pa. Pero naturally po ay meron na po sa plants, ayan, especially sa fruit na hormones yung mga plants. So, una is the auxin. So, later on, we will more talk about in this different five major groups. So, we will just list them first. So, second, gibberellin. Third, cytokinin. Fourth, abscisic acid. And fifth, ethylene. First, we will have the auxin. So, as you can see in the first picture, or in every picture po that represent po dun sa plant, there is auxin. That to visualize or represent the auxin, it's color orange na dot inside doon po sa ating plant. So, auxin, we're in much more on cell elongation siya, which plant hormone produced in the stem tip that promotes cell elongation. Kaya din po yung ibang mga plants ay nagkakos po ng curve. So, si auxin po, in the first picture, is well distributed yung auxin. Since si sun po ay nasa top. So, nakabalance lang po or well distributed yung sun. Ayan, so ganun din po si auxin. So, nasa top lang, then pantay lang. So, when the sun, ayan, turns in different directions, so yung auxin po will go through the dark side of the plant. Okay? So, nagkakos po yun ng bending habang tumatagal. So, nagbe-bend po yung plant. Ayan. So, auxin moves to the darker side of the plant. So, as you can see po, dun sa second part, yun nasa gitna. There are to grow larger than corresponding cells on the lighter side of the plant. So, yun nga po, because of that, ay nag-grow po yung ating parts ng plant o yung ating stem tip mismo. Next, we have the gibberellin. So, plant hormones that are essential for many developmental processes in plants. First, seed germination. So, from the word itself, the seed will grow po. From seed, then magkakaroon po ng sibol. Then, stem elongation. So, from the word itself, mas lumalaki po yung ating stem. Then, trichome development. So, if you're not familiar with this one, so it helps the plant to protect or hindi po rin mag-evaporate agad yung water, and also protect din from wind and other insects. Then yung pollen maturation, leaf expansion, and induction of flowering. Then we have the cytokinin. Stimulates cell division. It also causes cell enlargement and cells senescence. So when we said senescence, ito po yung, kung napapansin mo, yung pagkupas po nung color ng ating halaman. So, stimulate cell division and cell elongation. So, development of plants, as you can see, from 7 days po, dun sa pinaka dulo, yung maliit po, 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, 28 days, 35 days, 42 days, 49 days, 52 days, and 56 days. You can see the changes of the developing of the plant. Next, we have abscisic acid. ABA or abscisic acid inhibits. So, when we said inhibits, pinipigilan po yung growth ng isang plant or kung anumang part nun. Ayan, rather than stimulate. Many physiological functions po yung kayang inhibit sa abscisic acid. So, the effects of ABA, so one po dun is the closure of stomata. So, we know naman in the stomata, it happens there, the transpiration, wherein the excess water from the plant will evaporate. And also, stomata is the one that absorb carbon dioxide. So, again, si abscisic acid, pinipigilan po yung ating stomata to do its job since it's closing the stomata. So, next we have the dormancy of axillary bulb. So, pinipigilan po yung pagtubo or paglago po ng stem. So, next, abscission of certain fruits or reduction of chlorophyll, kaya nagye-yellow because of separation of the cell, kaya nag-abscission po yung ating fruit. Then, inhibition of seed germination. So, pinipigilan po yung pagsibol na galing sa pinakabuto po ng halaman. Next, we have the ethylene. So, ang ethylene po, minsan sa isang prutas, usually tinuturok yan. Pero, kaya yung tinuturok kasi daw mabagal yung pinaka-changes po ng ating fruit. So, kaya yun yung rason. But, the fruits ay meron po silang sariling hormones na ethylene itself naturally occurring. So, yun nga po, tinuturok sa kanila or sa mga fruits din, yung mga ethylene, kasi nga, para bumilis yung ating paghinog. So, stimulates fruit ripening, accelerates senescence. So, ito po yung humihinog and then drastic change po sa ating fruit. So, alter other processes such as bud growth in pea seedlings. Ethylene moves readily through the plant by diffusion. So, kumakalat naturally pero merong mga tinuturok. Ayan. So, next. So, as you can see po, class, ito yung ating parang summary ng una nating topic tungkol dun sa plant hormones, pero hindi pa tayo tapos. Una po is sa germination. So, papasok yung pinaka-germination sa gibberellin. Okay? So, growth and maturity. So, belong yan sa gibberellin, auxin, cytokinase. Then, flowering, belong naman sa gibberellin, auxin, cytokinase, ethylene, bukod sa abscisic acid. Kasi nga si abscisic acid, ito po yung nag-inhibit ng growth po ulit ng plant, or flower, or fruit, basta any parts of plant. So, ini-inhibit, pinipigilan niya po yung paglaki or yun, growth and development po ng isang plant. Then, fruit development, same as with the flowering. So, gibberellin, auxin, cytokinase, ethylene, except for abscisic acid. Then, the abscission, so, ethylene and abscisic acid. So, kasama din si ethylene doon sa abscission since ay nagkakaroon po nung paghinog. So, ayun. Then, abscisic acid. Ayan. Then, seed dormancy. So, abscisic acid since pinipigilan ng ABA yung paglaki ng seed or pagsibol po ng seed. So, yun po yung summary for that part. Okay, so we will talk about now in humans. So we have endocrine system in humans. First, we have the pineal gland, hypothalamus, pituitary gland, thymus, thyroid and parathyroid glands, pancreas, adrenal glands, placenta for pregnancy or during pregnancy, testicle in male, ovary in female, and thymus. So those part po ay mas maintindihan natin for the following slides. I know that you've already studied some of them and some of you class has already an idea. So, meaning to say, endocrine system in humans is the collection of glands that produce hormones that helps the regulation of metabolism, growth, and development, tissue function, sexual function, reproduction, sleep, and mood. So, we have here also the hormones. So these are chemical messengers that are secreted directly into the blood. So gaya nga ng sabi ko kanina, ito yung ating chemical signaling which carries them to organs and tissues of the body to exert their functions. Then we have the endocrine glands. So sa endocrine glands, as you can see, we can, ayan, nakikita po natin yung different glands that secrete different hormones. So they are ductless glands of endocrine system that secrete hormones. So includes pineal gland, pituitary gland, pancreas, ovaries, testes, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, hypothalamus, and adrenal glands. So in endocrine system class again, so we have what we call the thyrotropin. So ito yung master regulator sa pag-secrete po ng mga hormones natin. So meron po tayong different hormones that has different responsibility in different parts, which is ayan, meron tayong adrenal gland again, pituitary gland, pineal gland, testicle, ovary, pancreas, thyroid, and thymus. So first we have the pineal gland. So in pineal gland, this is responsible for secreting sleep hormones. So it is the one that recognizes the light and dark of the environment. So receive information about the state of light, dark cycle from the environment and convey this information to produce and secrete hormone like the melatonin. So, melatonin po, yun yung ating sleep hormone na galing sa pineal gland na kung saan this is the one that's responsible sending our brain po na ito na po yung time para matulog dahil it knows the light and dark cycle po sa ating environment. Then next we have the hypothalamus. So helps stimulates or inhibit many of your body's key processes including heart rate and blood pressure. So internal balance yung gusto or ginagawa ng hypothalamus na typically gusto kasi yun yung kanyang responsibility. So yun. So releasing thyrotropin hormones, yun, yung pinaka nire-release na hormones ng ating hypothalamus. So, responsible siya for maintaining your body's internal balance. So, yun nga yung sinasabi ko kanina. Then, again, nabanggit ko rin kanina in the part of endocrine system, meron tayong tinatawag na thyrotropin hormones. Ito nga po yung nagre-regulate also ng anterior pituitary gland and serve as master regulator po ng different parts of the endocrine system. Ayan, tulad ng sabi ko. So, thyrotropin releasing of hormone o yung ating TRH regulates also the anterior pituitary gland. Okay. So, also we have what we call the thyroid gland. So, controls body's metabolic heart rate, then heart generation and heart rate. So, yan, meron na po tayo sa ating pituitary gland. We have the anterior and posterior. Yan. So, first, we have the follicle stimulating hormone o yung ating FSH. FSH. And then we have also the LH. So, they both stimulate ovaries and testes. So, una muna is the follicle stimulating hormone. So, this is the one that regulates the development, growth, pubertal, maturation, and reproduction processes of our body. Then the LH naman, this is for sexual development and functioning. So sa girls, it is responsible for menstruation cycle that triggers the release of an egg from ovary. Next, we have the TSH. So, ito yung ating thyroid stimulating hormone. So, stimulates thyroid gland and then stimulates the metabolism for almost all tissues of our body. So, malaki ang role ng ating TSH because it stimulates all the metabolism of almost all tissues of our body. Next, we have the ACTH. So, it's the one that stimulates the adrenal cortex. So, it helps also on the production of cortisol. So, si cortisol class, it is the stress hormone that helps to regulate the glucose, protein, lipids, metabolism, and then the immune system. Also response of humans. So helps maintaining blood pressure. Next, the ayun, ay mapindot kasi agad. So, the PRL, ito po yung ating prolactin. So, it stimulates the mammary gland. So, for mammals, yan, underclass mammalia. Next, we have the growth hormone or yung ating GH that stimulates growth metabolic functions. So, ito yung mga, ayan, cell regeneration also, then the physical characteristics. So, from infant hanggang, ayan, adulthood, and then, yun, hanggang sa lumaki or nag-growth. Ayan. Ka-problema lang sa pag-next ng slide. So, next, we have the pituitary gland and posterior. So, first, we'll have the oxytocin. So, stimulates contraction of smooth muscle in uterus and mammary glands. So, for muscle contraction, ito yung para sa childbirth. So, sa panganganak, and also it help to produce milk. The next, we have the vasopressin. So, yung vasopressin is the antidiuretic hormones or AVH promotes retention of water in kidneys and influences social behavior and bonding. So, it helps the kidney kasi kailangan ng kidney ng water balance. Next, we have the thyroid gland. Sa thyroid gland, we have thyroid hormones. Ito yung T3 and T4 that stimulate and maintain metabolic processes wherein it also affects every cell and all organs of the body, helps to regulate calories, and affecting our weight loss and weight gain. So, also help slowing down and speeding up our heartbeat. Then we have also the calcitonin that lowers the calcium level. So it helps regulating the calcium and potassium in our blood, opposing the action of parathyroid hormones. Next, we have the parathyroid glands. Dito papasok yung ating parathyroid hormones or yung ating PTH, yung raises blood calcium. So, kanina si calcitonin nga po, kaya nasabi ko na opposing the action of parathyroid hormones kasi ito ay it lowers the calcium level while the parathyroid hormones raises the calcium level. So, this action of PTH stimulates the releasing of calcium into the bones and blood from the food that we eat through in the intestine. Next, we have the adrenal medulla of adrenal glands. So, meron tayo ditong glucocorticoids. Glucocorticoids raises the blood glucose level. And then the mineralocorticoids promotes a reabsorption of sodium ions and excretion of potassium ions in kidney. Next, we have the pancreas. In our pancreas, we have insulin, so lowers blood glucose level. Then, in glucagon, raises blood glucose level. Next, we have the ovaries. So, we have here the estrogen that stimulates uterine lining growth, promotes development and maintenance of female secondary sex characteristics, also present in male but do not have very prominent effects for males. Ayan, so it undergo puberty, yung ating lining, uterine lining. Then also it developed the breast. So mas kaya ang rason bakit lumalaki yung breast. Then it widen the shoulder of the female. Then it also has the control in menstruation. Then the pubic hair. So nagkakaroon na po ng pubic hairs and because of estrogen. The next is the progesterone or progestin. Yan, synthetic. So, promotes uterine lining growth, also present in male but do not have very prominent effects. So, helps regulating cycle, prepare uterus for pregnancy, actually see progesterone. So, it thickened the lining of uterus to prepare the fertilized egg. So, most responsible talaga ng progesterone sa atin ay ang menstruation. So, much more responsibility ng progesterone ang ating menstruation. Though there are other hormones that can contribute in the cycle of menstruation, but the major one is the progesterone. Okay? So, it also regulates the cycle again. Next is the androgens or yung sa ating testes. Yan, it supports the sperm formation, then it promotes development and maintenance of male secondary sex characteristics. And addition, meron tayong tinatawag na testosterone that is responsible in the production or formation of testes and also of prostate and glands. Then, meron ding prostate glands sa ating testes. So, nag-help po dun sa ating testes. Then, next we have homeostasis. So, when I said homeostasis, we can also refers this agad sa ating tinatawag na balance. It controls by different pod system. Ayan, so the tendency of that system is to resist change and maintain a stable environment. Then an important role of homeostasis is to regulate the internal body environment of an organism and to maintain equilibrium amidst a changing environment. So, yun sa ating homeostasis. Again, class, bago ako mag-start dito, ayan, it maintains the balance po ulit. Ayan, example ay kung bakit tayo na pinagpapawisan. So, para magkaroon po ng balance dun sa body temperature natin since sobrang init. So, yun po yung pinaka-response ng ating body to release the heat and to keep the cooling down of our body and or to maintain the balanced temperature, which is in this picture you can observe the 37 degrees Celsius, which is the normal heat that has in our body. So in this cycle you can observe from homeostasis, we have the receptor. For example, this is the sensory organ, then it will send again in our control center. So the control center will respond po dun sa sense na binigay ni receptor. Then the effector will respond doon sa ating change. Okay, so dapat doon sa part na yun ay balance yung magiging result and process. And also, class, the presence of water in our body must be maintained. Yan, 70% of water, yun dapat na meron tayo sa ating katawan. Ayan, in daily basis. So, yan lang po in summary sa atin topic ay yun, nandito na rin sa halos sa picture na to. So, we have different hormones that creates chemical signaling in our body by the help of our endocrine system. And then we have different glands that helps the stimulating or the functions of our body in different parts and their different purposes. Ayan. So, I hope that everyone learned from this video. And sana ay nakinig na maayos at may natutunan kayo. Goodbye and thank you, class. See you again and more watching. God bless us all.